It's give us the immense pleasure to welcome you for this FDP. So, Madam is currently working as a professor and head of the Computer Science and Engineering Department in Government College of Engineering, Bargur. Madam is an author of book Hierarchical Access Control, published by Lambert Academy of Publishings. Ma'am has completed mentor training program for NITTR for 8-module introduction program. She was the officer in charge of AICTE Anna University affiliations, finance nodal officer for TechCube 3 in GCE Bargur as well as TechCube 2 as well as TechCube 3. She also served as a vice principal of GCE Barguru for more than 2 years. Madam has received funding from various external agencies such as Anna University, AICTE, BRNS, DRDO, and UGC. Madam is a lifetime member of ISTE, IE, and our research areas includes information security and big data. So to make a point, Madam has published and presented almost 44 technical papers in various reputed international and national journals as well as in the conferences. So very much grateful to have you with us, ma'am. So we request you to take over the session. Ma'am, you are muted.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that introduction.
Ma'am, your audio is very low. It's too low. We can't hear. No, ma'am, you are not audible yet.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Very much audible. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that introduction. I'm happy to be associated in this workshop. Actually, it's a change for me because we have been continuously engaged in administrative work, and I take this opportunity to learn some things and to share that with you. As far as my research is concerned, mostly I have been doing on cryptography. Now I am trying to work on big data. So I hope that I will be able to convey some things which will be helpful for you. Thank you for the opportunity. Shall I start the presentation, sir?
Yes, ma'am. You can start the presentation.
Okay. So the topic given to me is machine learning algorithms for data analytics. So what I have planned is, first of all, I will be giving some introduction. Pardon me if it is going to be very basic because to be true, I have also started learning this only some time back. Okay, so whatever is best I have prepared, and I am trying to disseminate the same to you. Okay. Is it visible, ma'am? Sir? Sir, is the...
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Presentation is visible.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So, machine learning. So today we have seen that this machine learning is actually occupying our life like anything. Suppose you are so many online apps are available for purchase, and if you happen to scroll something by your interest or just like that, you apps which even I have not installed, giving me suggestions about where to buy, what are the products. Okay, so ML is in daily life. This is a recommendation regarding the thermometer, blood pressure level, like the blood pressure monitor. It has become an indispensable part because we are using the digital data to a greater extent. This use of machine learning has become a part and parcel of our life. So similarly, this is again another example where I try to type My reason for leave. Okay, dear madam, due to unavoidable circumstances, I will not be attending the class tomorrow. Immediately in the subject, it will be giving me the suggestion whether the subject should be request for leave. Okay, so like that. Not.
Ma'am, sorry
Yes.
to interrupt, ma'am. Could you please give a slideshow so that the PPT is much more clear for us.
Sir, I am giving slideshow only, sir.
Start the slide.
Stop the share, ma'am. You can share the slide shared one again, because we'll be seeing only the PPT what you started at the beginning.
Oh, okay, sir.
Not full
Okay.
screen. It was not full screen.
Maybe that might be the new platform called you just.
It's not changing, sir.
Ma'am, can you give a slideshow now on this from beginning somewhere you have to, can you click?
1 second, sir. Now, sir,
No, ma'am. It's not.
second slide is not visible.
Ma'am, can you go with an option sharing entire screen?
I spoke to Jammu.
So just give me 2 minutes, sir. I'm doing it.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. Yes, ma'am, it's clear now. Your microphone is muted, ma'am.
Sir?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible, very much clear.
Sir, are you able to see the
Yes,
changes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we can see the changes. We have moved to second slide. ML
Yeah.
in daily life. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So,
Thanks a lot.
This is an example of the recommendations which we receive in from various apps or when we browse because of the machine learning which has been incorporated in the systems. And similarly, this is again one more example where if I type the my request, what is the reason of leave, it is giving me a suggestion. You want to make the changes, make the subject as request for leave. Okay, so what is the difference between traditional programming and machine learning? So in traditional programming, we have the input, we have the program, and we use the computer to give the output. So this is a very simple thing which is discussed in many machine learning courses. So in traditional programming, the data and the program is given as input and we get the output. Whereas in the case of machine learning, we can see that the input is data as well as the what is the output that is expected. So we are actually taking care of the program which will try to find out what is that which may converts the data from the expected input to the output, and we make the machine to learn. Okay, so in traditional programming, we feed in data and program, that is the logic, run it on the machine and get output. Whereas in machine learning, we feed in the data and output, run it on machine during training, and the machine creates its own program logic which can be evaluated while testing. So this is the main difference between machine learning and traditional programming. That is, we are trying to create the logic which makes the conversion. So for that, we are having many algorithms, and based on the data and the application, we are using those things which are actually very powerful, built on mathematical models. So the term machine learning was first coined by Arthur Samuel in 1959, an American pioneer in the field of computer gaming and artificial intelligence. It gives the computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. Then again in 1997, you can see that the growth of machine learning has been phenomenal only during the recent years. He gave a well-posed mathematical and relational definition that a computer program is said to learn from experience with respect to some task T and some performance measure P. If its performance on T as measured by P improves with the experience E. So this is a very good definition which involves so many things. Like we have a computer program, we have an experience E, and as you can see, these machine learning algorithms, they are actually for domain specific. We when we concentrate on a single application, it is more successful. So here he says very clearly that it is learning from experience E for some task T. And we have a performance measure called P. That means, for example, how many times it is successful, something like that. So if the performance keeps on improving, and for machine learning, we find that there is, with the growing number of data and the assessments which it makes, the performance improves. Okay. So in a very layman manner, machine learning can be explained as automating and improving the learning process of computers based on their experience without being actually programmed, without any human assistant. So in a layman's language, when you say machine learning, we say that the computer is going to learn on its own. But how it is going to learn on its own? Based on its previous experiences. So the process starts with feeding good quality data and then training our machines by building machine learning models using the data and the different algorithms. So the most important thing for machine learning algorithms is the data should be very good. We will be also seeing what are the things which should not happen in the data, how the data should be, how the structuring of data should be. So then we train our machines by building the learning models. We have the different algorithms which can be used. So the choice of algorithms depends on what type of data do we have and what kind of task we are trying to automate. Like I said that based on the specific applications, we have different algorithms and based on the type of data also. For example, if it is going to be a numeric data or if it's going to be an image, a video, so based on that, the algorithms will vary. Okay. So again, so this is the same thing. Learning is any process by which a system improves performance from experience. Machine learning is concerned with computer programs that automatically improve their performance through experience. So we keep a measurement and we see that the learning improves. We are able to get better things. Then we say that machine learning is successful. Okay. So now coming to machine learning, that the word that packs a punch. Almost every enticing new development in the field of computer science and software development has something related to machine learning behind the wheels. So Microsoft's Cortana, object and face recognition, machine learning, computer vision. Then you have for user interface, advanced improvement programs, we have machine learning. Machine learning and data science in general is everywhere. So coming to machine learning and data science is a vast area which encompasses everything which is related to data. And we can say data analytics is a part of data science. So it is a bigger horizon, data science. And data analytics, we are going to use some part of it which will be helpful in analyzing the data. Okay, so machine learning is the result of general AI that involves developing machines that can deliver results better than humans. So I have again summarized here what is the difference between traditional programming and machine learning. And you have the learning system, machine learning system, we call it as learning, in which there is a continuous thing, like you have an input data, you have the output data, the machine learns, the process continues, how what insight or what hints we can get from the input data, and it tries on improving the system to get a better output. So again, this is also a very important definition. How is machine learning just as I told you, data analytics, part of data science. We have the bigger thing called artificial intelligence. In artificial intelligence, you have one subpart which is machine learning. And in machine learning, there are so many algorithms. And one particular thing is deep learning. Okay, so artificial intelligence, which mimics the human intelligence using logic, predicate rules, propositional rules, if-then rules, decision turning, and machine learning, including deep learning. So in that, now we have seen that machine learning improves with experience, improve at the task with experience. This category includes deep learning, and in deep learning, we try to emulate the performance of the human brain. So how the neurons are connected, like that we are trying to develop a network which will be helpful to train itself to perform tasks like speech and image recognition by working on a vast amount of data. Okay, so artificial intelligence, under that we have machine learning, under that we have so many things, in which deep learning is one such thing, which mainly uses neural networks and specialized to perform speech and image recognitions. Of course, we have other things in machine learning, but this deep learning is playing a very important role now. Okay, so when we said about the definition, we came across well-posed learning problem. So that is repeated here. Okay, so we have seen that for some performance on the task T, we have a performance measure P, and there is an upgrades. With experience, the value of P improves. So that is called as this is called as the well-posed learning problem. So mathematically, they have defined like this. So any problem can be segregated as well-posed learning problem if it has three traits. What is the task? What is the performance measure? What is the experience? How it is gaining the experience. So any problem, suppose you want to make it as a machine learning problem, we have to identify all these three things for that. First of all, what is the task to be performed? Once the task to be performed is identified, how are we going to measure the performance, and how we are going to improve that performance so that we get the correct results. So these three things are important when you identify something as a machine learning problem. That is, you want to implement a software which is going to be useful. So for that software, you need to find out these three things as the basic model. Okay, so learning, improving with experience at SAS, improve over task T with respect to performance P based on experience E. So for example, now this is what are the three things with regard to filtering emails as spam or not. We are suppose you are going to develop a system, we have already these things, but to make it clear how we are fitting in these three attributes, I have taken this example. So if you want to filter the emails as spam or not, so automatically some emails are going into spam. So what is the technique you are using? For example, these things evolved from the even the concept of machine learning, how it became successful. If you just think over, we have been working with our internet packet gateway, all those things, and in that we are giving some rules. Suppose you get a mail from this unknown resource, and similarly you are stopping some websites in your educational institution. So all these settings are made in the system itself, but there is no learning involved in that. So I request you to kindly imagine or understand the scenario. For example, take this itself, filter emails as spam or not. So you can say that this has evolved from our previous scenarios where we try to stop the mails from intruders with the help of our networking technologies. So what happens there is, we tell this user will be using this mail, this only. They will not be allowed to access these websites. Like this, we are defining in the database. So there is no machine learning involved there. Everything is static. So we are giving the input. This student, he will be accessing only from Coursera. He will not be used to access Facebook if he is using the system from the computer. So you have a network administrator who will be doing all these things. And with the development of so many things, it has become difficult to identify which flower, each and every site could not be blocked for the student. So in that case, suppose I want to have a machine learning there. What I can do is I have to develop an algorithm, a program which will help me to classify which sites are suitable for the students. So if as it runs, initially you have to run it with your faculty group. As it runs, it should learn from the experience. So initially, for example, I say that websites which end with .edu can be allowed. Website with start with .ac.in can be allowed. So that will be the learning part. After that, as the system proceeds, okay, suppose the content is good, you have so many things. So based on that, the machine will should learn on its own. Okay, so for that, the task is classifying the websites as suitable or not. Performance machine is how many it is classifying accurately and how it is learning. Okay, whenever you come across some website, it is telling it is an appropriate site, this is an inappropriate site. So this is one example of machine learning. So here in this slide, I have listed another application where they try to filter the emails as spam or not. Okay, so the task involved is, as I told, 3 things has to be understood if you want to implement something on a machine learning. First one is task, second one is performance measure, third one is the experience. So in this case, the task is classifying the emails as spam or not. The performance measure is how many mails it is accurately classifying as spam or not spam. And the experience is observing you label emails as spam or not spam. So how the machine learns? Whenever a mail comes, the system, your machine learning should start with allowing you to first of all click whether this is a spam mail or not spam mail. So as I receive mails, first of all, I will classify them as spam or not spam. So in the course of time, it will measure, okay, how many. Next time it should be able to check whether it is a spam. So like this, it continues. So this is the general working principle of a machine learning program. So similarly, another program, fruit prediction problem. For example, now our CSIR Chennai is involved in a very good project of identifying, they have an automated system where they try to identify what are all the good mangoes and what are all the bad mangoes. So that is mostly based on the image processing and other factors. Okay, so they are able to identify when you send a load of mangoes on the conveyor belt, they are able to identify the good ones and the bad ones with the help of programming. So here I have listed something similar to that, which is fruit prediction problem. So forecasting different fruits for recognition. So fruit prediction problem, 3 things. What is the task? We need to forecast what are the different fruits for recognition, and performance measure is how much it is able to predict maximum variety of fruits. That means it should be able to differentiate the different fruits. Okay, so how maximum variety, it is able to identify around 100 fruits, or if your program is not that much efficient, it may label this Mozambique and orange as the same thing. So that is the performance measure. And experience is training machine with large data sets of fruit images. So there can be a color change, size will vary. So based on that, it has to identify that it is the correct one. Okay, so these two are the common examples: spam, prevention of spam, and fruit prediction. And related to that, I have said two more things. One is, in fruit prediction itself, you can also check whether you can have a good fruits or bad fruits. And similarly for email, you can have a learning system which can let you identify what are all the proper sites and which are inappropriate sites. Okay, so it learns from historical data, builds the prediction models, and whenever it receives new data, predicts the output for it. Okay, so we have seen this is the basic. We have a task, we have a performance, we need to build up the experience. So how it builds up the experience? There is some historical data. Maybe you can use the data sets already available and build the prediction model. And whenever a new data comes, it tries to match, it comes under which category, and predicts the output for it. The accuracy of the predicted output depends upon the amount of data, as the huge amount of data helps to build a better model which predicts the output more accurately. So when you have a large amount of data, and you can build a better model which predicts the output. And now the concern here is, when you have a big amount of data, how are we going to run the system? There may be, we need special processes for that, or we are going to again outsource those things for running that. So you have so many cloud providers which you can use for running your system, running your data. You try to use specialized servers because it is not possible for you to invest in such a large infrastructure. So now you can see the link between machine learning and cloud computing. We try to use the cloud technology for running our data on an elsewhere location somewhere, and we pay for it. Okay, so when you have a large amount of data, you can use it for a better model. And you can see, due to the evolution of machine learning, there is a improvement, or you can say there is a big things happening in this cloud domain also, and in our infrastructure development. So for example, now we say that we are going to use some cloud where we can run the data and develop our machine learning algorithm. We will think how it will be possible for them. So you can see, when you go through the literature, there are so many companies which are continuously investing in developing better systems. You have latest servers which run in a very high speed from your IBM or other companies also. So there is a change of shift. If something is developed, there are so many multiple areas which are interlinked. There is a development in cloud, there is a development in hardware technology. You have a very good processor being introduced by NVIDIA, which is used for building very good machine learning programs. Okay, so it runs on vast amount of data. So there is a improvement in that thing also. So now you can see there is an improvement in the infrastructure. We are going to use the cloud technology. There will also be developments in the interconnectivity. So systems, people, Cisco and other things, they will also try to develop better system, better networking using the technologies. So this machine learning has, in fact, it has created a good impact on all these things where there is a large amount of development. So that I wanted to tell you. And so how it works, we have seen this. So you have a machine learning algorithm. there is a input data and there is a training data. Train the machine learning algorithm. After that, you have the when you come across the new data, the machine learning algorithm will try to use the past data and how the algorithm has been trained. With the help of this, it will be trying to get the prediction and it will see if the prediction is true. If the prediction is true, it is a successful model. If not, again there is a feedback. It comes to the learning with more training data. It tries to learn and tries to identify to come successful. So what are the features of machine learning? It uses data to detect various patterns in a given data set. It can learn from past data and improve automatically. It is a data-driven technology. Is much similar to data mining as it also deals with huge amount of data. So if you see way back in I think 1996 itself, we had so many people working on data mining. So I would like to share that at that time, one batch of students, they were working on data mining. It was a something new at that time. But this data mining, data warehousing, everything has now evolved and it has become a basis for so many things that we can do with the data. So what is data mining? We have seen try to mine the data to find the useful insights so that we can predict what will be the future. Okay, so data mining, we went with the data, searched for the data to identify what may happen. But now we are trying to use that to predict what will be the outcome and improve our performance. And it has become more specialized, more improved technologies are being involved. So next one, importance of machine learning. There is a rapid increment in the production of data, solving complex problems which are difficult for a human, decision making in various sectors including finance. For example, we need to make some decisions which should be immediate, okay, and finding hidden patterns and extracting useful information from data. It saves both time and money. So there is a lot more thing about machine learning. And for data analytics, I would also like to tell that nowadays we can see during the elections also people trying to use data analysts to check and what decisions can be made so that there will be a they will win the elections. So currently machine learning is used in self-driving car. People like Mercedes-Benz, they are all involved in self-driving cars, Google, cyber fraud detection, face recognition, friend suggestion by Facebook, etc. So we get so many options like friend suggestions, and off late we are finding it that many fake profiles are also created. So you can see there are some bad things also happening. Some people running an algorithm where it learns who are all the friends, what are the common groups, and it is giving friend suggestion for us. And when we give the friend suggestion, next it will ask for some money transfer. I am in a critical situation, kindly transfer some fund, like that. And people who are not unaware, they will be caught up in this problems. Okay, so there are also good things as well as bad things that are happening today. Various top companies such as Netflix and Amazon have built machine learning models that are using a vast amount of data to analyze the interest and recommend the product accordingly. So you can see that when one person he develops a system, again there is researchers from other prominent organizations, they also sit together, and work. So we didn't have any such things previously, but with one company implementing the recommender systems, other people are also implementing. So this recommender systems not only confined for apps purchase, now you can see that has been imported, or you can say that has been used in other applications also. Like when you travel in your car or any vehicle with your Google Maps on, it is giving you suggestions, the restaurant nearby, like that. So it is learning. We cannot now hide anywhere in this world. Like for example, I received a mail day before yesterday, your activity during August. It tells me clearly where all I have visited, even small places, which place it was, what was the nearest landmark. Like that, it is able to identify each and everything. So this is a diagrammatic representation. Get data, clean, prepare and manipulate the data. So you cannot just use the raw data. So much of data processing has to be done, pre-processing, where we try to clean, prepare and manipulate the data. For example, there may be some data which is repeated, or there will be some wrong data. We have to identify that. If the data is correct only, we can proceed and train in an effective way. Then we train the model, test the data, improve the performance. So it continues like this. So training, when you say training the model, the algorithms commonly fall into one of the three categories: binary, classification, regression. So what is meant by binary algorithms? It will classify that into two categories. Classification, we can have a classification into many categories. And regression, it will predict a numeric value. This much will be the sale. This will based on these inputs, festival time, like that, how much the sale we can expect, and like that. For example, we can check, suppose in some product, it is sold very well. Every day they are updating. All the supermarkets, they are updating. One place there is a lag. They are not able to get so much of sales for some particular product. Whereas in all other outlets, we have a very good success rate. So we can identify what may be the reason and find out and correct it to improve our sales performance. Okay. So what are the disadvantages of machine learning? Data acquisition. Machine learning requires massive data sets to train on, and these should be inclusive, unbiased. So I think that now, if you have come across the educational institution, we are giving so much of data, student level, the basic data also to our AICT now for this 360-degree feedback. So you can see now we can expect some machine learning algorithm implemented there, which is going to do some wonders. So previously we were having only, for example, in NIRF data or your age data, we were only feeding the information as a bulk. We were not going to the micro level. We were only giving some data on the top, for example. So, and then for AICT, we are giving now the faculty ID, which has reduced so many issues. For example, you cannot have same faculty member in two institutions. So all these things have been curbed by having massive data. So you have so many, for example, let us assume we are having around 1 lakh engineering colleges in India. You have such a big data set, and now as a next step, AICT has introduced this 360 feedback, where we are giving the student data also. So you can see that that data is going to be very helpful in future for predicting so many things. So data acquisition, it requires massive data sets. As a big organization and you have the authority and policy, it is not going to be difficult anyhow if you want to get the data. But for other things to run properly, machine learning, you need to have massive data sets. Then time and resources. It needs massive resources to function. This can mean additional requirements of computer power for you. As I told, but everything there is a solution. Every problem there is a solution. No solution, no problem is created without a solution. So for this I said that we can always go for cloud, where we are having massive resources, and of course we don't have to bother about security issues, because we will be entering into a service level agreement, we say SLA, so that our data is secured. Because initially when people started putting the data on some other platform, they had a feeling our data is there, it will be stolen. But now there are so many agreements by which we can ensure that our data will not be shared. For example, banking data, customer data, like that. Okay. Next one, interpretation of results. And another major challenge is the ability to accurately interpret results generated by the algorithms. You must also carefully choose the algorithms for your purpose. And high error susceptibility. It is autonomous, but there may be errors. Suppose your data sets are not that much efficient, and your thing is not working properly, you may have errors which needs to be corrected, and the training has to be done. Okay. So for the implementation, in the next steps may be the use of agents. Like we have a machine learning agent which can learn and which can do it, instead of saying that it will be confined to a sequential thing. Okay, we can also come across procedures where you will have modules which may be built, and each module may give some data for the machine learning algorithm. Okay, so types of machine learning. On the basis of signal available or feedback, all of you are familiar with these things. We have machine learning problems, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, semi-supervised learning, reinforcement learning. Okay, so if you remember, people who have graduated from maybe 95, 2000, like that, we were seeing all these things with regard to neural networks. Okay, when we study neural networks, we will come across these terminologies: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, and we also studied these some learning topics when we were studying our artificial intelligence. Under artificial intelligence, you have how the robot learns. So in that we have studied these things. Okay, different learning methods, how it learns, etc. Agent based system, how the agent learns. If you are familiar, we would be studying about the vacuum cleaner agent, how it is programmed. If there is a dust, it will clean, like that. There used to be a table which tells if this is the signal, this should be the output, like that. So these terms, supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement learning, as we saw in our previous slide, artificial intelligence, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. and deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So we can see all these things are repeated in machine learning also with slightly different context. Okay, so you have supervised learning, unsupervised, semi-supervised reinforcement learning. Okay, so you can see here in unsupervised learning we have clustering, dimensionality reduction. Of course, different books will suggest different types as they explore, but these are the basic things. So you can say you have supervised learning in which you have classification, regression, and in unsupervised learning you have clustering and dimensionality reduction. Let us start with supervised learning. In that, the major three things are decision tree, linear regression, logistic regression, and in classification you have naive Bayes classifier, support vector machine, k nearest neighbor, and in clustering we have k means, k medoids, mean shift. So this is the general classification of machine learning types which are discussed in many literatures. Okay, so you have supervised learning in which you have regression and classification. So what is this? Regression predict numeric labels, classification predict categorical labels. So in supervised learning you will have definite for this input, for this output, you will get this output, and when the value involved is going to be based on some numeric value, we call it as regression, and if it is going to be on labels, okay, we call it as classification. And you can see classification also you have different types, how the based on the algorithm or the mathematical concepts involved in the development of the algorithm. We have naive Bayes algorithm, SVM machine, and k nearest neighbor. Okay, so supervised and unsupervised. In supervised data there will be a labeled data, there will be a predict output, there will be a feedback, and here you have to, in unsupervised you will missing this labeled data. You have to find the hidden structure in data. You have to understand from the data what it is trying to convey based on the output, and you have to build up the algorithms for that. Okay, so this is an example for supervised learning model. You have age, shoe size. So many of the literatures they discuss this example because it was the first machine learning algorithm which was done. So what the person did was, as his son grew, he tried to find out what will be the shoe size for him. So age input, what will be the shoe size. So he collected the details from many people, and based on that he was able to predict what will be the shoe size of the kid as he grows. So this is a classical example, or you can say found in most of the literature of machine learning, because this was the first machine learning program which was done. Okay, so if you happen to enroll for any courses on data science or data analytics, those people will definitely touch across this. Okay, so again in supervised classification, how we are doing, this is a diagrammatic representation. As I told you, it can be a numeric data or it can be a text image. So we are giving the data, these are apples, it is able to predict. Okay, so there is a link between the coming to linear regression. Okay, so I'll just go through this. So you can see, so machine learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, supervised learning with the labels, unsupervised without labels. In turn, there are so many classification. Now coming to decision regression. Okay, regression. In regression, linear regression. Linear regression is a process used for estimating the relationship among the variables. Here, one of the variables is dependent on one or more independent variables. Example, weight and height of the people. So you have different, you have variables which are interconnected. We try to exploit the relationship between those two to predict for the future thing. Okay, so estimates the relationship between the variables. Okay, so the working of linear regression, you will find that the discussion will be based on finding out the least value. The regression line has the least value of D, and we try to fit into the value which is given, which is available in that line. So this is the most simple thing. For example, you have height, you have weight, this place. Okay, you plot the values, and whenever a new value comes, you try to see which is the nearest thing on this line. Okay, so you try to place that in this line to find out what will be the size. Okay, or before the given height, what is the weight, like that. Okay. Okay. So some of the things about supervised learning is it is presented with example inputs and their desired outputs given by a teacher, and the goal is to learn a general rule that maps the inputs to outputs. The training process continues until the model achieves the desired level of accuracy. Excuse me for a minute, I have an important call. Oh, sorry for that. Okay.
It's okay, ma'am. Please.
Okay. So some real life examples for this is image classification. You train with images labels. Then in the future, you give a new image expecting that the computer will recognize the new object. And second important real life example is market prediction, regression. You train the computer with historical market data and ask the computer to predict the new price in the future. So not only that, as I told you, we have been using this data analysis in our election processes also. There is a huge investment. One second. Sir, சொல்லுங்க sir. இல்ல சார், மார்னிங் கால் பண்ணாங்க, இன்னும் கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்கூல்ல லிஸ்ட் கொடுக்கல சார் அவங்க. இன்னும் வாங்கல சார். பட் இது இருக்கா, ஆனா அவங்க ஸ்கூல் ஹெச்எம் கொடுக்கலன்றாங்க. ஓகேப்பா, ஓகே. சரிப்பா. Okay. So similarly, in unsupervised learning, as a summary, we don't have labels. No labels are given to the learning algorithm, leaving on its own to find structure in its input. Okay. So I think now we should have a very clear idea. Supervised means it's not that somebody is supervising, or unsupervised means it is not that nobody is supervising. Okay. So it all depends on the data. That is, the data is conveying on its own. We call it as supervised, but there is nothing like that. The algorithm has to find a structure, how the data is linked. We call it as unsupervised. It is used for clustering population in different goals, different groups. Unsupervised learning can be a goal in itself, discovering hidden patterns in data. So I hope this is very clear. So it not only involves the learning part. First of all, it has to identify what is hidden in the data. So that patterns, if this is data, it is getting this. That thing has to be learned by the system. So that itself is a separate thing. So you can, that's what is given here. It can be a goal in itself. So that part, okay, unsupervised learning, that part itself is one big process. After the identification of the pattern, it has to go for the complete using the machine learning. Okay, so in that main examples are clustering. You ask the computer to separate similar data into clusters. This is essential in research and science. Okay, so now you can see how it is impacting in almost all the areas. Okay, so when we want to do some research, we have some data. So in that data, we want to find out some identification pattern. So that there comes the clustering. Then high dimension visualization. You use the computer to help us visualize high dimension data that is continuously changing of what type of things there is a continuous changes in the data, whether we can predict something from that. Okay, generative models. After a model captures the probability distribution of your input data, it will be able to generate more data. This can be very useful to make your classifier more robust. Okay, so I am coming to this. We have seen what is regression, what is classification, and what is what is supervised and unsupervised learning. And I told you that in unsupervised learning, it's a big deal to identify the patterns and then build systems using that. You also have semi-supervised learnings, problems where you have a large amount of input data and only some of the data is labeled. That is called semi-supervised learning problems. They sit between supervised and unsupervised. For example, a photo archive where only some of the images are labeled and the majority are unlabeled. That is a semi-supervised learning. So when we run that, maybe you will not get the correct identification of something, then again learn it, like that you have to do. Whereas for some things, if you give the dog itself, it will identify correctly. Reinforcement learning, a computer program interacts with dynamic environment in which it must perform a certain goal, such as driving a vehicle or playing a game against an opponent. The program is provided feedback in terms of rewards and punishments. Okay. So I hope we are clear with this. Okay. Okay. So what is semi-supervised? Some data is labeled, some data is not labeled. So you have an image photo archive where some images are definite. So you have said, if these are the features, identify it as a person, dog, cat, like that. Whereas for some things, it is not given. So we have to learn and build that system. Reinforcement learning, we need to take it from real-time dynamic environment. Example, driving a vehicle, playing a game against an opponent. So based on the influx and reactions, we need to plan and see that we won the game. We win the game. Okay. Now again, on the basis of output derived from a machine learning, we can classify it as classification algorithms, regression algorithms, clustering, density estimation, dimensionality reduction. Okay. So on the basis of learning, okay, what type? We have these 4 types: supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement learning. That is the data, what it is conveying, whether it is ready-made, available, or whether we have to identify the patterns. Some data available, some we have to get, and data we need to get it from dynamic. In the second case, output desired can be a classification, regression, clustering, density estimation, dimensionality reduction. So those things are explained here. What do you mean by classification? Inputs are divided into 2 or more classes. The learner must produce a model that assigns unseen inputs to 1 or more of these classes. This is typically tackled in a supervised way. Spam filtering is an example of classification where the inputs are email messages and the classes are spam, not spam. So what are classification algorithms? You need to get the input. The inputs have been given defined in different classes. So when a new input comes, we have to classify them, whether it comes under class 1, class 2, like that. So example is spam filtering. Regression, it is also a supervised learning problem, but the outputs are continuous rather than discrete. For example, predicting the stock prices using historical data. Okay. Case studies. Medical researchers often use linear regression to understand the relationship between drug dosage and blood pressure of patient. Okay. So this is one example. Similarly, agricultural scientists often use linear regression to measure the effect of fertilizer and water on crop fields. So these two are some case studies where this regression is used. Okay. So it is a continuous process. Okay. Again, classification algorithms. We have logistic regression, Nails-based algorithm, decision tree, support vector machine, neural networks. So we will see one by one. Logistic regression. So in linear regression, we have some values which will be fit in to the shortest error and identified. We saw height and weight, size and shoe, age and size of shoe, like that. In the case of logistic regression, we have some other types of values also. It is used to predict the categorical dependent variables using a given set of independent variables. For example, when a credit card transaction happens, the bank makes a note of several factors. For instance, what is the date of transaction, the amount, place, type of purchase, etc. Based on these factors, they develop a logistic regression model of whether or not the transaction is a fraud. Okay, so when you do a transaction, your debit card or a credit card, there are so many things involved, like it is given here when the transaction took place, how much amount, where, what is the place, what type of purchase. It gives a very clear idea about the customer. Okay, so based on that, what happens now, you see your recommender systems, what they do, they suggest you buy these things like that also. Okay, but here when regard to the credit card transaction, because it is a secure data, okay, so you will not get those type of notifications when you do a credit card. Okay, that much we are sure, because the bank has imposed more security on that. Whether when you once you enter into a credit card transaction, things are secure. Before that, whatever you are doing, I am seeing this item, for this you get recommender system. So with this data, for example, a customer, he is buying something. Okay, for example, as far as me, I am concerned, I will not purchase items more than this using my credit card. I will go through for a cash transaction. So those type of data, it builds a logical model for this person, what will be there. And in fact, it can learn also. Like let us say that some aged people, they will go for only this much transaction, and they will go for buying medicine alone using their credit card. They will not be using the credit card for other types of purchases. So that is a very good example, because we are afraid some things may happen. We advise our elders to use minimum transactions in the credit cards, and mostly for emergency purposes. So they develop a regression model whether or not the transaction is a fraud. For instance, if the amount is too high and the bank knows that the concerned person never makes purchases that high, they may label it as fraud. So this is an example of logistic regression. Okay, so linear regression, logistic regression. Here you have a straight line, here it is like an S curve. Okay, so you identify so many variables in that and develop a pattern with the help of which you are trying to find out whether this person has definitely used the credit card. Okay, then decision tree. A decision tree is a graph that uses a branching method to illustrate every possible outcome of a decision. Okay, so this is a simple example. Similarly, you can have many other decision trees for all your problems. You should be able to identify how the branching will be taking place. Of course, we can use this for many other applications. What is naive-based classifier algorithm? It tries to use the probability. Okay, so many times probability has been successful. So incorporating this formula-based theorem into your learning model so that it can predict, okay, if the probability of occurrence is A, probability of occurrence is B, probability of occurrence of C cross A. So like that, we can try to find out by using this formula in our learning algorithm to predict the new data where we are placing it. Okay, and support vector machine, there is a hyperplane where similarly you try to classify. Okay, so I am not well versed in this, so I am just giving you the structure. There are different classes, class A, class B. There is a in between there is a hyperplane. We try to fit in the model under any class A or class B. And you have the famous artificial neural networks. With the help of hidden nodes, you are able to identify. This formed the basics of your deep learning, where you can do it very well for your speech recognition and image problems. Okay, so this is again a thing. So you can see the input data, it is different. It searches. I can see a pattern. It is able to differentiate whether it's an apple, pear, or any other fruit. Okay. Find groups. So to make it more clear, in under unsupervised learning, when you say clustering, it finds groups among the data. This is under this cluster, like that. Dimension reduction expresses data with a fewer number of dimension, and association discover rules that describe data. Okay, as I told you, our previous internet things where we try to use this rules. If this is coming from this website, make it like this. Okay, so similarly many other rules can be defined and used for the association. Okay, K nearest neighbor algorithm works in a way that a new data point is assigned to a neighboring group. It is similar to. Okay, so you have different groups. When you get a new data, try to find out which is nearer to it. So we try to classify and we compute to which nearest neighboring group it is closest to. Okay, so this is another example given in the literature. You have 3 types of balls where you want to place the what is the next ball. So this is based on the different features. Okay, what is the diameter, or what is the texture of the ball. So using those things, we are able to locate it here. That means we will draw a circle and find out how many are maximum features, how many among this are coming under the category. So when we do that, we see that it is very clear to the tennis ball. Okay, so tennis ball, 3 balls have been in this area. That means area in the sense all the features. Okay, so based on this, we can say that this will be a tennis ball. If it is going to be a failure, we have to train our system. What is this ball actually? And accordingly we evolve, we learn, and we correct our identification. Okay, so thus our new data point is a tennis ball. So based on the different features, we are putting the graph. Okay, so for example, here they have given durability on cost. Based on that, they have given it can be multi-dimensional. Okay, association rule learning is a type of unsupervised learning technique that checks for dependency of one data item on another and maps accordingly so that it can be more profitable. If a customer buys bread, he most likely can also buy butter, eggs, or milk. So these products are stored within a shelf or mostly nearby. Okay, so I was also telling about some outlets which are having great profits, and one particular outlet, it was not having profit. So they analyzed the data and they could find that the products were not kept in correct view. Okay, so people who were when it was made, there was a good response and the sales improved. Okay, so association means if this is happening, there is very likely that this will also happen. Example, in our computer hardware, we call it as cache memory, local cache. Okay, so if a data is accessed from a location, there is a very high possibility that the nearby data will also be accessed. So what we do, we move the entire chunk of data to our main memory so that we reduce the access time. Okay, so that was the introduction of cache memory into the hierarchy. So what we do, we access a array element. If the array element is accessed once, there is a very high possibility that the next element will also be accessed. So what we do, we move that data to the main memory, and from the next access onwards, it's a hit. Okay, so hit miss. So that's how we came across these things. Very high cache, you have more performance. So similarly here, we try to analyze what are the things which can be associated with one another, and we define the rules in our learning system so that we can have a more profit. Okay. Dimensionality reduction refers to techniques for reducing the number of input variables on the training data. Why do we go for dimensionality reduction? It helps in data compression and hence reduced storage space. It reduces computation time. It also helps remove redundant features. So this is a hint for you, redundant features. Okay. So you have 5 features, which are 5 columns you are using, attributes in the data. But you see that with one data itself, you can do it. There is no need. All the other things are irrelevant. Okay. So in that case, we try to use that. Okay. Use that, and that data plays a major role in our learning model. For example, we are getting so much data whenever we are asking for any form filling, registration, etc. You ask the student to enter his street number, street name, what is the town, what is the district, then you enter the state. Okay, so your learning model is only going to learn something with regard to the state of the person. If he is from Tamil Nadu, it will be like this. If he is from Karnataka, he will choose this cuisine for his food. So like that you have. So in that case, you don't have to use all those data like his street number, he is in an apartment, whether he is living in a flat system or an independent house, or his street name, his district also, there is no need, because you want to have only a data which will help you to predict what will be the taste of preferable taste for people who are visiting the restaurant from Tamil Nadu. Okay, visiting the restaurant from Andhra, Kerala, and then Orissa, like that. Okay, so in that case, all this becomes unimportant data for you, street name, etc. Okay, whereas when you go for the customer registration in your restaurant or in a hotel, you get all those data. So just remove it. There is no need for you to move forward. I mean, remove it in the sense, for your data learning, you don't have to use those data. That is called as reduction. Okay. Next, reinforcement learning. It is the training of machine learning models to make a sequence of decisions. So not only a sequence, not only a single decision, it has to continuously learn to identify. Okay, so the agent learns to achieve a goal in an uncertain, potentially complex environment. Here you can see continuously the system is learning. Okay, keep on learning, and then it is able to predict correctly. Okay. So what is the right machine learning solution for my problem? Okay. We cannot say I'm going to use this problem, that problem, like that. Okay. So we have to, it depends on the problem statement, the size, quality and nature of data, complexity of the algorithm. For a simple problem like, or you can say, what do you mean by complexity of the algorithm or problem statement? For example, food. Okay, what I was discussing this thing, it may be a simpler one, whereas some problems which are very life saving. Okay, for that you have to consider more better algorithms. Go for deep learning like that. For example, you want to find out whether a person is suffering from some malignant diseases and all. In that case, it has to be very perfect. Okay, other things, okay, like for food, recommending food and all, it's not a okay. Even if an error happens, it's not a big thing, but some problems, they are critical. Okay, so those, based on those things, we have to decide. Okay, so based on that, if it is a classification, clustering, regression. Okay, so it is again a summary. Okay, what are the algorithms which are used under this? Under regression, logistic regression and linear regression, clustering. Okay, so just want to give a demo of this. Okay.
Dear participants,
So this is a demo of a machine learning algorithm. So rock, paper and scissors. So you can see, I'll share the website. Many of you may be familiar with this. So you have, you can see here, this is me and this is the computer. So first round, is the screen visible, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
So I oh, it should be able to do. Yeah?
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Just give me a minute, ma'am. I don't know why it's like this.
Okay, okay.
current slide. Yes. Actually, I have listed some 5 machine learning experiments in the slides. First one is I just wanted to show this a computer game which plays rock, paper, and scissors. You can also try it on your system. So when we proceed in this, play the game. When you play the game, no, when you give this different options, okay, accordingly the computer also plays on its own. Okay, so what happens is when we try to it keeps on learning. That's what I wanted to tell you. Suppose continuously you do the scissors option, it will learn from that and it will try to play, and many times it is only winning. I have tried playing this, so you can note down this, and I don't know why, because when I'm sharing this I'm not able to show the execution. What's the issue? I'm not able to find out. Slide share. I will just try once again. If it's not working, we will wind up. Just give me one more chance. Okay.
Madam, have you shared entire screen?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying.
Please share the entire screen, ma'am, so that any change in the windows can be visible on the screen. If you share the window, only that stagnant window will be visible.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I don't know why it's tried all options, but this is just to tell you, you can check this. It's quite interesting. Whenever we give these 3 options, accordingly the machine learning algorithm, it plays the game, and many times it's improving the score. When we change, it is changing it accordingly. So that is one thing. So this is work. Sir, is it visible now?
Your drawing is visible.
Yeah, okay. So that one was not working. Here this is again another machine learning example. When I give recognize, it's saying bush, broccoli, flower, rain, like that. Okay. So flying saucer, hat, animal migration, ocean. So this is one good example. It just make us. Okay. Flower, flamingo, leaf, yoga. So you can see it looks somewhat like a yoga pose. So it is able to identify that it is a yoga. Okay, so like that, some machine learning experiments are there which are really helpful. Similarly, objects in your camera stream. Again here there is some issue. When I keep a camera and when I take a photograph, when I keep a camera, it is able to tell whether it's a person, it's an umbrella, like that, with some accuracy. It says 75% person, like that. Okay, so these things I wanted to just share with you. I hope I was able to do some justice to the work given to me. Sir, shall we wind up the session 1 for today?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. We will look into the website. We will make a note of the website address, URL. We will try with the experiments by our own, and I request participants to proceed with any queries.
I will share the links in the chat box, sir. Or
Maybe
if
chat
it
is not working, ma'am. You can text to the Geeta, ma'am. We will convey it to the audience.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any questions from audience end? Okay.
Dear participants, you are most welcome with your feedbacks and queries for the session.
Your microphones are enabled, so you can use it. She's raised and forgot. Nayana, ma'am, any queries? Okay, ma'am. It looks like there are no queries from the participant end. Thanks a lot for the wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being a part of this FTP.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
And dear participants, the next session will start exactly at 2:15, and we are requested to be interactive with the resource person, as he is going to deal with some of the MAD producing functions related topics today. So we'll meet back at 2:15.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.